You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Welcome everybody to the Four Corners, the brand new show here from the Official Wrestling Museum. I'm your host Angel, and I am joined by the Official Wrestling Museum's Hall of Famers.
Low Life.
Sergeant Stryker.
It's great to have you here. Special guest this week because this is a special show as a debut show. And we're going to kick it off to tell you what it's all about.
So the Four Corners, what we came up with is, you know, a lot of people in their general discussion will say, hey, who's your top five this, top five that? That's kind of easy because you know you got five things to choose from. What we decided was kind of like a Mount Rushmore of only four. So now you got to kind of already choose like, well, I like these five, which generally everyone thinks of five.
Yep.
Now I got to cut one of those out and maybe just have four. So a little bit more difficult because you're cutting something out, you know. So
each week we're going to pick our four. Now this week we're going to just do four each and just talk from that. And in the future we're going to actually then break down the groups and then make one final presentation for you guys. But because it's the first one, we don't want to make it too confusing, mainly for us. And this is actually pretty interesting. You know, we thought of this concept, we presented it to the museum. They're like, yes, this is great. Whatever you guys want to do. And then they were like funning us with like images of Rushmore, and this is what it is. It's like, okay, yeah, but we're going to pick what we want to pick, and we're going to talk about how we want to talk, because this is what we do, right, folks? So this week, we're talking about tag teams in WWE.
We can't pick ourselves, right?
Can't pick yourselves, okay? Because that you guys
would be off the Rushmore.
You'll be all four across the
across
the board. You know what I mean? Hey, you were the longest running tag team champions here in New England.
Right.
You guys built tag team wrestling here in New England. You really did. Now, if you let's talk about it. You got, back in the day, the only real tag teams that was ever significant here in New England was Fire and Ice. Okay, they reminded me of the Hart Foundation. They reminded me of what tag team wrestling was. Okay, but after that, you have Wolverine and Alfredo, but they were just kind of like put together.
Yeah.
It was more after the facts of stuff that the legacy of their tag team came into play, and it was you guys. There really wasn't. You know, I was a team back then. You know, but my partner, he left, and I had to find another partner down the road. We tagged for a while, but it was never like a team, a solid. You guys were that team. You guys were out there. The characters that you guys had, people thought would clash like anything, and worked so brilliant. And everybody was.
Who would have thought a soldier and a guy who collects welfare would actually join forces?
It was it was just marketable. It's what tag team wrestling was. You guys had the abilities in the ring.
Our styles complemented each other with two different style workers, and
we're going to talk a lot about this in this month of free preview, which is the 1 hour show that's coming back. This community-based interviews, all that good stuff, and we're doing our table for three about just the legacy of us, where we came from, how it started off to where we are, and what we're doing today. Well, we're talking to you right now, but where we're at this point in our lives without some canes that's coming in our future very soon.
Right.
But let's get to this show. We're going to pick four teams, okay? So, we'll go with you. You're the guest.
Go with me.
We'll put the spotlight on you.
Of course you're going to go with me.
Of course I'm going to go
first.
with you.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going with top four here.
Top
all right.
it doesn't have to be.
No,
it doesn't have to be in order.
Opinion.
You know, it's just.
Yeah, and it's not.
And
order,
this is also. We'll just explain too. So the selection process, it isn't necessarily what we think is the highest drawing tag team or the
Right.
best
Yes, it's our own-
in-ring work tag. It's our own.
It's our own
Our
personal
own guilty
favorites.
pleasures. Our
Yeah.
own.
That's
something
exactly
that
what
brings
this
us
is.
joy. So just
And that's good that you
because
brought that
someone
up.
might say
That
Hulk
is-
Hogan for like best
Yeah.
wrestler of all time. Hulk Hogan. Oh well.
For me, it was
Kurt
yeah.
Angle was a much better wrestler than him. So it's
Yeah.
it's our own choice.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the 4 that I would go with, obviously.
Well,
the-
you just pick one, and then we'll.
okay.
Yeah,
well,
one at a time.
We'll go with one.
Right,
We're going one at a
I'll
time.
go with.
He's got his.
Go with the Brothers of Destruction. Just when they get together, it's something special is about to happen, and somebody might lose their life.
See, I would have. Yeah. Now, see, the thing that's so cool about this is that we might think a lot alike too, but we all might think differently. Like that wouldn't have registered.
Yeah,
on
that
my,
wasn't
Yeah.
clicking for me. There was a lot. There's a
loved how
lot
they
of
came out.
history. There's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot
Yeah.
that goes with that team.
They definitely
Okay.
were a dominant team. I mean,
Yeah.
storyline wise, I mean, it started from the day King, even before King came
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
And they are synonymous now with each other.
They tore the roof off the building. You remember at
super-
WrestleMania
yeah.
when they went against each other?
Yeah.
We were there.
Almost like two
was
super
insane.
beings. That's
Oh,
not a
okay.
bad pick.
Yeah, that was good. Me, I'm gonna have to go with Hot Foundation. You know, what I mean, I just they were just
Yeah.
technical. They were just your wrestling.
They're actually on mine.
They're
as
on
well.
mine too.
Yeah.
So the Hart Foundation
We're
is.
Bret Hart guys.
right?
The
We
three
are,
of us.
we
All
are.
3 of us. You named
But
one
you know
of your
what?
kids
I-
after them.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
really
like-
did.
I can take them off of mine and make them an honorable mention because I can factor in another team. But Hart Foundation definitely on that list. I mean,
They just
again,
had it.
talking
Even with
about
their tags.
you're talking about
You believe the tag.
two guys that complement each other's style. You had the power of the Anvil, and then you had the scientific wrestling of the Hitman.
I'm surprised he's not over here.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
over here
You
doing
had,
giggle and all
you know,
that. Yeah.
Not necessarily the best talkers, but they didn't have to be. They had Jimmy Hart with them at the beginning.
Right.
But you also had where the Hitman was kind of non-charismatic. He had some, but he wasn't the most charismatic.
Did his talking in
But
the
you
ring.
had the charismatic personality
Anvil.
of the Anvil. So they just
And I think
totally
that's what worked
complemented
so
each other.
because it was the big guy. And usually you want to see the big guy with
Yeah.
the pow,
The
look at
chutzpah.
me. You usually use the smaller
Right.
guy. Well, this was so opposite.
Right.
I think it was just, yeah.
They definitely, for us all three to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably going to be a couple teams that
Probably.
might be in all three. So I have my first pick. I'm not going to say my first pick because I want to try not to make it say.
I already know where
I
he's
already
going
know
with the
who.
first pick.
Oh, yeah.
I already.
I figured you got
we all
this.
know who my first pick would have
Yes,
been. Levy and me.
It's our droopy
But I'm going to
little Jimmy.
say I'm going to save that pick, and I'm going to say to me, this team must be on as not the greatest team of all time, but the most influential team of all time. And I'm going to pick the Road Warriors because
That's one of mine.
I
yeah.
gotta change that one too now.
Okay,
I mean,
so
we
that's
just
on
think so
everyone.
much
Yep.
alike.
All right.
We just
Yep.
think so much alike.
I liked it when it was the Legion of Doom
So I
because that's when I really got introduced to them the most.
I did not.
I hated him as Legion of Doom
Right.
because they took away from another tag team that,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
you know,
yeah.
we'll get to them later. But
Yeah. So when the Road Warriors, as the Road Warriors, they were that first
edgy
team that I can't kick butt team, painted faces. Any other team that did that
was definitely
mimicked them,
Exactly.
regardless of what. When we get into that other team, we can talk about that a little differently. But as far as the influence of the face paint and the spiked shoulder pads, that, like I said, not the best in-ring workers, but the most influential. Like
I think they were solid though in ring.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they weren't.
You could see the kind of off cue, but the way the intensity kind of covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, they were that
definitely
first.
in
They
your
were,
face.
they were that first team that, like, when you watched like NWA back on Saturday night, they would come out and beat a team in 15 seconds, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
wasn't happening really, like at that time.
They were the
with
Mike
tag
Tyson
teams.
of wrestling.
Yeah,
You
and
blink
then
and it's
there's
over.
been people saying like, oh, when I was working the Road Warriors, I was scared, and they had Paul Ellering with them, and he was so different at the time as far as a manager. And yeah, I just think you look at that team, and now when they got to Legion of Doom, I'll leave that part about the other team aside. I didn't like it because, well, what it was at the point too was the Road Warriors for so many years had been that team that just came out and destroyed everyone. Now they had been around at that time. What they going about 91-ish
Yeah.
to WWF? So they had been around for about 6 years, and it's like WWF is all about storytelling. Vince McMahon's trying to draw a character out of that, and I just, you know, they brought out the doll, and I understand what they did, but it just didn't. It wasn't that they changed the colors up. It took away from the. It took away from
intense.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are right on that. I will say this, and now this other team that I'm going to bring up to compare right now is not on my list. Could very well be on either one of you guys' list. Or
Guaranteed
on
it is.
any list.
I already know where he's going.
I'm not going to mention you guys, okay?
Talking about the powers of pain, right?
No. Okay. And it's probably on a list of one of the viewers guaranteed.
It is on our
okay?
list.
But I will
definitely is.
tell you this. I personally feel there's only 2 tag teams that holds that stigma of awe to them. That's that unbeatable force. Your Road Warriors and Dudley Boys.
Oh wow!
Oh, he went
I
totally.
didn't
he went
think you were
totally
going to say
off.
that.
Because if you really
Okay.
think like Dudley
Now,
Boys held
they're not
titles,
on your list?
They're not on my list. And they were.
I think-
they were close, but there's these 2 other teams that I think really needs to be there because what they were able to do.
So
for
I
the
think
business.
Dudley Boys are for me.
I think they should definitely be
I
on
think
there.
they're an honorable mention. at
Absolutely.
least.
Yeah, because they won all the belts across the board everywhere, same as the Road Warriors. They were this unstoppable force, same as the Road Warriors. I don't think there's 2 teams, any other team that could compare to those 2 teams to that level. If you want to say this is the unstoppable force, that's where you need to
The
look
immovable object, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Should we? Now you only gave 1. Do you want to?
I gave 2.
Oh, you gave. Who was your second? You said.
We gave LOD. Well,
Oh, we all
I said that.
LOD.
All right, so
Is
yeah.
he-
Well,
So Road Warriors are on your list, or
They would definitely been on my list. They were one
all right?
of the
So
ones
we'll
I
go
was
over a
going
couple
to pick.
teams, and then we can
yeah.
backtrack.
Yeah,
well, we
back,
might as well get into it right
hey,
now.
This is our first show, guys.
Yeah.
And this is what you got to see us at shows when we start talking about things. So we have a group chat, literally. And we'll start with
Goes on
one
for
little
days.
thing, and we will just go off. So if we don't stay focused on this, we won't make our 3rd round pick.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to say we might as well just get into it right now because I know we both have it.
We're both picking them.
All right, so just say it.
And
It's
we
the
thought-
reason we wanted to be a tag
Right,
team.
it's the reason
Yeah.
we wanted to be a tag team. We thought you were going to say it. When you talk about the Road Warriors, you're talking about Demolition.
Demolition.
And for me, and I'm sure for him too, either the 2 teams, Road Warriors are definitely, as I said, most influential. Demolition, I think, was the better overall team. They were better in-ring workers. They were better characters. And as he said, I'll let you talk. Well, like by the time the Road Warriors, now everyone would say, "Oh, Demolition's the rip-off team, the rip-off team." By the time the Road Warriors went to WWF, Demolition had already been established. They were the champions there for, at the time, like
Years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So, to a lot of people who didn't watch NWA, Road Warriors were the rip-off team. Now, I knew who they were, so I never felt that way, and I never felt. Because I liked Demolition from jump, I never felt them as a rip-off. I know that they definitely were heavily influenced by the Road Warriors, but definitely that Demolition Road Warrior feud should have been a money-making feud that they just threw away.
They dropped the ball there.
I think Axe was sick at the time too, so
Yep.
it was. But to have Road Warriors and to have Demolition, just like with Hogan and Flair, they had those
That's it,
2
yeah.
feuds and they never hit where they should have. And Demolition is just that's my number 1 team.
Mine as
overall,
well.
So
yeah.
Demolition hit. Entrance on Me hit everything.
Oh, the theme
It was
song.
probably my second favorite tag team after Hot Foundation in that time frame. Looking back at them, I just remember them clubbering people. Boom, 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 boom.
Double axe handles.
You know,
and just
you never
beating it
really
to the
seen
ground.
too much wrestling.
If you go back though
You
and
know what I
watch
mean?
like they
But-
had that feud against the Brainbusters.
Yep.
There is,
Well, they did do,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not saying they had no talent because both individuals are very talented.
Yeah.
Right.
But they didn't do that. But they were still able to very well get over with that crowd.
Axe used to
They
say.
knew
Yeah.
don't mean to interrupt. They knew how to work a camera.
Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely did.
Probably the best tag team to ever work a camera.
Yes.
I don't think there's any other
Work
team
the
out
camera
there.
and they could work the crowd real
Yeah.
well.
Axe used to say that they were eyes, ears, nose, and throat specialists, meaning that's the body parts they would attack, as opposed to like, say, the brain busters who would work a leg or an arm or this or that. But yeah, Demolition, I mean, a team that was heels that had to turn face because the crowd demanded it, basically.
Right,
And
yeah.
and when you're talking about Demolition, and I talked about this in the Royal Rumble episode we did. Demolition at 1989 is number one and two.
That was insane.
They haven't.
That
been-
was smart.
They've
Off the
tried to mimic
charts.
that a few times. I felt like this past year was the best they've done since with Jimmy and Jay. It still wasn't the same though.
Yeah, it doesn't even come
You
close.
had Demolition. I think honestly,
Whoa, ooh.
I think that was the moment I truly like.
That was
That's
it,
when it
yes.
hit for me with
Yeah.
Demolition.
I think the reason that Jimmy and Jay didn't get over as well is because they already knew, fans already knew they were trying to do this for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Right, they
So you're
expected
giving
it.
us that little
Right.
tease. No, we don't want the tease. We
Demolition
just want
was just-
the main
yeah.
course.
Yeah, it
With
was just
Demolition,
boom.
that was just, I remember that. I'm like, wow. Oh man, they actually have to take each other on.
Right.
Now, seeing that you guys already said the Uso names, that is on my list.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And the main reason for them, minus everything else they have, they were the only real tag team for over a decade in WWE. Everybody else was just thrown together.
I think you had New Day, but yeah, outside
New
of
Day was
and
even put
Usos,
together.
Right.
Yeah.
The Usos came up as a tag team.
I couldn't, that selection, I wouldn't sit there and say, no way. It's a good selection.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, Usos was a team that I thought would be one of those teams that they'll never be separate. I always thought they'll never be separate. That Jimmy hasn't really done too much. He hasn't been given the
Yeah,
opportunity.
Jimmy is
He
weird
hasn't.
now.
Jay, I feel,
Jay's embraced
has
it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like
Steve's-
Jay
Steve's
they have
there.
actually pushed and then kind of dropped the ball with. But as far as a tag team, now it's funny because when they came out, it took them a while to get over. I feel they
Yeah.
kept getting the start and stops and
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
a couple issues off.
Well,
the,
they are. Well, remember when they came out too, though. You know, you think, oh, no, the head shrinkers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's what you kind of got the vibe of. But they were solid workers. You never really messed up. You never really
Yeah.
seen anything.
I mean, they're
like, oh,
Samoan,
man.
and that's just in their blood.
Yeah.
You
Definitely
can't.
is.
You can't. There's
can't.
like they're born to wrestle, and they're smaller, but they can move. I
That's
mean,
just on you.
yeah, you
They're
know you're
small,
gonna get
but
a
they
solid.
wrestle big.
So just to recap, now you have on
Me,
your list.
I have Hot Foundation, I have LLD,
Yep.
and the Usos.
Okay, I have Demolition, Road Warriors, and I have not given a third yet. I don't think.
No, you're up for
All
the
right,
third.
and who do you have so far?
So I got the Heart Foundation and Demolition.
Okay.
And you said the Road Warriors.
Well, I think that was one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
But yeah, the Road Warriors and Heart Foundation was with you.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So I know you said WWE. I actually have one. Now my Road Warriors pick was more before WWE. I actually have another pick that's not WWE. And well, they did go to WWE, but their WWF run wasn't the greatest. And I want to pick the Steiner brothers. I think that.
okay.
I think.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a toss-up between them and the. I was gonna pick maybe Midnight Express, but I went with the Midnight Express. Get a honorable mention. Also, Harlem Heat get an honorable mention with me. But the Steiner brothers, the
We gotta have a
Steiner.
bullet of
I
how many
love
honorable
tag
mentions
team
we
wrestling. If done
We're
right,
tag team, brother.
if done
That's
right,
where we
yeah,
roll.
yeah. If done right, tag team wrestling can be fantastic.
It is so magical.
So
it truly is.
Steiner brothers, they definitely had a unique style at the time. The stuff they would like. Scott Steiner was so before his time.
Yes.
Like I think he a guy that size doing the Frankensteiner. I just saw a clip of him doing a 450 splash from back then. I never have seen that.
That guy was insane.
Yeah, and they all both ended up becoming characters too, with Big Papa Pump and the Dogface Gremlin. When I watch the Creeds now, I just see
Oh,
You see the Steiners.
yeah, and then you look at Braun Breaker as Rick Steiner's son, and whew,
Guy's
that's a
fast.
future star. But
Guy's fast.
yeah, I mean the Steiner brothers. I think that they were always over their matches. I mean the stuff they would do to some of the enhancement talent. Oh, they would beat the crap out of those guys. But they were just a fun team. You always knew that you were gonna, if they were in the ring, you were gonna be entertained. And I feel, yeah, why not? They deserve a spot on my Rushmore.
I probably wouldn't. Nothing against them. Maybe 7, 8, like on a list if I had to do. I just think it was very just intense and I always seen Steiner as for himself. I didn't see him as he cared for his brother, unless if he wanted.
Scott, you mean?
Yeah.
So except for like a tag, and then he came Rick, and Rick came in, did his thing. I love the dog face gremlin stuff all the time. I love their gear. I think the gear was cool.
Yeah,
you know what I
they
mean.
always
I think
had some
WWE did a good job shining them when they first came in.
Yeah.
Then the ball got dropped, and they had one of the hottest Hasbro figures to find. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean?
They were good because they
But
brought that
it's not a
Olympic
bad pick,
style
though,
wrestling
really.
into
Yeah.
WWE.
But the Creed is definitely
Yeah.
new age. But they're a team, and they're crisp, and they're doing stuff. They're sloppy when they're doing certain things, but they're still you. You know what I mean? They're new. But yeah.
All right, so we both got 3. Who's your third?
Well, as you said, you got so many different guys, and as we all pick the same guys, you can knock them down and get to other guys, and I know, I'm a big Horseman fan, so I can't pick the whole group, so I guess I'm going to have to go with the Brainbusters on this. Arn Anderson, just the way he dropped that DDT was, oof.
They were definitely in the running for me. I mean, again, they had a few when they came. In fact, when they went to WWF, they had great matches in NWA. When they came to WWF, they had really great matches with the Rockers. They had great matches with the Hart Foundation, and they had really great matches with Demolition. And there was the summer of --89. They had a really good feud with Demolition. Brainbusters is not a bad pick. I mean, like I said, that was a toss-up for me. I wanted my next pick. You'll see why I picked them, but the Brainbusters were possibly on there.
Yeah.
I think, when they came to WWF, they had Bobby Heenan by their side, perfect.
Yes.
Right. Bobby
And
Heenan was great.
as the Horsemen, Arn Anderson was always Flair was the Horseman, but Arn Anderson was always the glue. So Arn Anderson also just a great tag team wrestler himself. So
Arn Anderson was just a great worker in
Brainbusters, I
general.
think, is a solid pick.
It is. I remember watching the Brainbusters in WWF, and I remember saying they don't belong here. They belong in a higher league. You know what I mean? It just, to me, it was just they were wrestling.
Yeah, they
that's
definitely
exactly
were.
what they are. Why are they working guys like The Rock?
Yeah,
and nothing against The Rock. It was just they were just so the symbol, but there was nothing higher to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They were the pinnacle. At that time they were
And Heating just
the
brought
best
them right out.
The best workers.
Yeah.
They just work so well together.
The stall out suplex straight down. The
that's
Brainbuster.
great.
Oh my God. I remember that.
You want to go for your final?
All right, I'll go with my final one. I don't know if you guys will like this pick or even thought of these guys. And I'm not big on people getting put together.
Okay, I
thrown
was gonna say,
together.
don't tell me it's the Bushwhackers.
No. And it's not Odd Truth with Little Jimmy, okay? But these two guys were thrown together with really reject characters, thrown together, and really became a solid, marketable tag team.
I have
the
a
New
feeling
Age
that-
Outlaws.
Yeah. No, you know,
They were great.
yeah. I mean, again, Billy Gunn, pretty good tag team, pretty good overall. Underrated as a wrestler. People.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Road Dogg, you throw them together. I still remember. Hey, we get together. I smell money. Like perfect together. In fact, when they joined up with DX, they were more over than, because originally, DX was just Hunter and Shawn.
Yeah.
They were more over than DX at the time.
Yeah.
DX needed them to come in.
Yeah.
Because they were
saved
more
it.
over.
They really did.
I would say that, that's not a bad pick. I mean, they were a great tag team. I mean,
They went
again,
from-
two contrasting styles. I think that's important in a team, because if you have two of the same guy,
Right.
you're not getting the fans are watching the same thing. They're not getting that
Right.
break.
Yep.
So definitely good pick.
And they went from
different
two
looking
characters
bodies.
with like the Double J roadie gimmick, and I'm a cowboy going from a rockabilly gimmick.
Yep.
They were syncing. You know what I mean? It was kind of like where like Woods, Kofi, Big E was. They were syncing. New Day came in, saved the day. Here is New Age Outlaws came in, it saved their careers. They saved what they were, and they could tie up with anybody and tell the story with anyone.
And Road Dogg was magic on the mic.
Oh my God, he was.
He was.
And that
he was
tattoo on the
magical.
back of his head,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the braids all the time. And when he got punched, the braids just went everywhere. It was
Yeah,
great.
All right, so for my fourth pick, I wanted to do something different, a little different, and it was tough because I had two teams that I wanted to pick, and I had to narrow it down to one because I threw the Steiners on there, but I felt the Steiners earned it. FTR deserves the spot, but they didn't make it. Now they deserve the spot,
but they definitely do.
They didn't make it with me
definitely do.
because this team did, and maybe not now how they're being used completely, but in fact, FTR and this team had a fantastic feud in NXT. DIY, because there is not a match they have that
That's
I'm
not
like,
exciting.
this isn't
Great.
Just in fact, whatever today's date is, last night on Raw they did a match against the Creeds. Phenomenal, phenomenal match. Like, I just feel like them two together is such a good mix. Gargano and Ciampa.
Well, the friendship goes back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you can have that chemistry with each other, then you can putting out, into the ring, make it more believable, make it, something that fans want to buy into.
Not only are they a great team, they've also had that fantastic feud against each other, but they had such a great feud against FTR. They just, anytime they're on, it's like, I know, even on Raw when they're having like a 3-minute match, it's like, okay, I know it's going to be good. So I feel, and they've been a team for a long time. They make it for me. It's hard to, again, hard to narrow it down to 4 teams, but so you did pick a current team with the Usos. I picked the current team.
And I was surprised you went with that, with them and stuff. But that's not a bad pick.
FTR was
FTR though, man. That's
so you don't have to pick a current team.
I'm more old school.
Yeah, I'm more old school
who you
too.
going
But
with?
My last pick, it's just gonna be. You see, there's kind of a theme with me. I like the Road Warriors. I like Demolition. So I'm gonna go with APA. When they come down to the ring, all heck is about to break loose. That clothesline from hell was insane.
They were definitely a fun
Another team that kind of got thrown together.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, while you said that, like, okay, there's another team that got thrown together, but really worked.
Yeah, they did.
It really did. Like, you believed in them.
When they came down, you knew it was time. It was
Also,
time.
also, if anyone remembers back in the day on Raw at the Friendly Tap, when they tore the place up and beat up a bunch of people, they beat up a couple Museum Hall of Famers.
Yeah, Wolverine and Alfredo. In fact, there's a trading card with Wolverine on it from WWE getting beat up from Bradshaw.
But that's also
a bunch of those guys
also
are from our old promotion.
It's also a great pick. I think there's some honorable mentions, like you gotta have Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah. Edge and Christian wasn't, what I mean?
The Eliminators.
Eliminated. That's the thing, is a few ECW teams weren't picked.
It's hard to just pick 4.
That's why we do
4. Your mind just goes, but this, this is a really fun show, and I can see this growing to be something that we look forward to, and we hope you guys look forward to as well. And if there's certain themes, that you want us to talk about with this, let us know.
Or even email your Mount Rushmore to
let the museum know, because
share
we will definitely share them out. The officialwrestlingmuseum.com. It's been behind us the whole time. Check it out for all your wrestling needs. We thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you tune in next week. Remember to watch for Off the Ropes Figures Are Us, the Hot Tag. The Hot Tag's a new show. That's the Q&A show, folks. And get ready for this month's free preview show, the 3 of us. It's going to be a good time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here with us.
Pleasure being here.
Appreciate it, and I'm glad I didn't get put through the table between you two. It's scary sitting between you guys. Well, you know what they say. We'll see you at the matches, folks.